is someone you should know. She and her husband currently live in the northern suburbs of Chicago, from where they launched their now adult son and daughter. Carolyn is a connector extraordinaire and saw a gap between small, locally focused nonprofits and the abundance of resources in the communities around her. So she started Community Purse, a giving circle that is fast approaching $500,000 being donated to community organizations. I'm excited for you to learn all about this today. So welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you, Jen. Happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad. So we learned a little bit about you there in that bio, but why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe where you grew up, maybe little bit more about your family, how you ended up in the Chicago area?
Sure. So I grew up in the Rockford, Illinois area, which is about 90 miles northwest of Chicago. And I went to a high school that was the home of the Vikings. So that tells you a little bit about who settled our town. I went to college at the University of Michigan, and then I got a job in the management training program at Marshall Fields. So
Oh,
that brought me back to Chicago. And I then was recruited to Spiegel Catalog, if you remember,
yes.
those catalog days. And I did a lot of international travel and I absolutely loved it. I
All
met my
right.
husband in Chicago. He was finishing up an MBA. And then we married and moved to St. Louis, had 2 children, moved to Orlando, and then we moved to Dallas. And I said, I feel like I'm not getting any, traction with all of these moves. So why don't we move back to Chicago, and then you can change jobs and we can stay in one place. And we have been here 20 years.
Wow. Oh, that's great. Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
So we've been married 32 years, and both of my kids got married last year. So I'm welcoming my daughter and my wonderful son-in-law, and my son and wonderful daughter-in-law. And I have 3 grand dogs.
Okay, dogs. Soon, hopefully, to be children
We'll
in
see.
a few years. But
Yeah.
well, today we're going to talk about something that you know a lot about, which is generosity. So maybe we should just start with the basics. How do you define generosity?
That's such a good question. I looked in Webster's. I was kind of checking out the dictionaries, but I think my overall holistic generosity definition would be the habit of giving freely with expecting nothing in return.
Hmm.
And, it's an open-handedness, which is part of our Community Purse logo. It's an abundance, not a scarcity
Mhm.
approach to life. And, the Bible has a lot to say about generosity, and especially as a virtue. So in John 3:16, we learn that God loved so much that he gave.
Mhm.
And of course, Jesus said it's more blessed to give than to receive. And so the other thing too, I think is important about generosity is it can come in many forms. It can be hospitality.
Mhm.
It can be giving blood or part of an organ.
Yeah.
It can be, of course, money and possessions. So
Mhm.
generosity, it can be friendship. It can look a lot of different ways.
Yes, yes. When I worked for a nonprofit, we often said you can give of your time, your skills, or your money, and you can be
Right.
generous in all those things.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's wonderful. When did you kind of start to notice that there was this need, this gap between people who wanted to be generous, could be generous, and the people who really needed to be the recipients of that generosity? When did you notice that, and how did you dream up Community Purse?
Well, my husband and I have been doing biblical stewardship studies, facilitating them at our church. We did Crown Financial
Mhm.
Ministries was a good one. We did Financial Peace University, which is Dave Ramsey, which is another. And we both went through a journey of generosity, which is hosted by Generous Giving. And all of those helped us understand that money and possessions are important things to steward, and that we wanted to manage our resources well. And we did notice that incomes were trending up, but giving seemed to be trending down. And part of that was just understanding stewardship and managing resources well. So I didn't dream up Community Purse.
Uh,
I read about it in the newspaper, about a giving circle, and I thought, wow, what a great idea. I love that.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. A year went by. And then I saw on Facebook a friend had posted about her giving circle. And I thought, oh, there's that great idea again. And I had a great little group of Bible study friends, and we would go to lunch regularly. And so I just said a prayer, Lord, if this is meant to be, I'll present it to the group at lunch and I'll see what they think. And if we have a team, great. And if not, then I'll assume that you want me to do something different. And so I did mention it to them and they all loved it. So that was August, and we launched our giving circle in February of 2015.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, so tell us how it works, because it's a brilliantly simple model.
It's elegant. Yeah. It's simple. And that's part of what attracted me as well. So the idea, and it works really well with busy women like ourselves and like your audience. So basically, we meet quarterly, and the idea is that everyone commits to giving $100, and we pool our resources together. Members nominate the nonprofits. 3 of them present at each of our meetings. The membership votes, and we give the grant to a local nonprofit. And the beauty of that is, we have 110 members, and we have 4 chapters now, but just talking about our Lake County chapter, we have 110 members. So if everyone contributes $100, that's an $11,000 grant. And as you know, Jen, working in nonprofits previously, they love to get a $100 grant, right? A $100 gift or donation. But when you can pool it and it's an $11,000 grant, then it's a program. It can be part-time help. It can be something more substantial. So it's a good use of our time, and it's a good use of our resources because we have more impact.
Absolutely. And on both sides. I mean, by the time I could give $11,000, $100 at a time, it would be a long time. But to know that, with these other women, you can, give this big grant. It's very impactful on both sides.
Great point.
Yeah. So we're in a culture, though, that tells us to work hard, save your money, build wealth, enjoy it. And, I know you have a lot of thoughts on this, but how does being generous actually make all of those things better?
Well, good question. I love that question. The message of generosity can be very countercultural because we are told that happiness is in the accumulation of things. But I was recently reading a study, and it struck me because accumulating things can be very stressful. It can raise your blood pressure. It can cause a lot of strife in a family. However, generosity, not so. So this Cleveland Clinic study, and maybe we can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It says that giving can actually boost your physical and mental health. And what they noticed is lower blood pressure, increased self-esteem, less depression, lower stress levels, longer life, greater happiness and satisfaction. So that's the countercultural message of what to pursue and what generosity can do.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Because you mentioned this earlier, this scarcity mindset versus abundance. And you can have a lot of stuff, but when you hold on tightly, you're still living from a scarcity perspective. But when you give freely, I mean, it just opens up that abundance of sharing and learning to receive also.
It does. And as Todd Harper, who's one of the founders of Generous Giving, always says, I have yet to run into an unhappy, generous person.
Yes, yes. Well, that's great. So have you had any objections from potential members, like maybe misconceptions, like when you say, hey, come do this, and they're like, I can't be generous, or I don't have enough yet to share, things like that. Have you had any objections from people?
We do sometimes. I think it's good to challenge people to think about that because $100 does sound like a lot at one time, but you have to realize we meet quarterly. We meet in February, May, August, and November, and all 4 chapters pretty much follow that calendar. And that's 3 months. So it's just a little more than $1 a day. And almost any of us can find that in our budgets. And so, really there's a flexibility with what women give. Some women are able to give $100 to each nonprofit at each meeting.
Mhm.
So it's what you feel called to give. But most women we know are able to find that just a little more than $1 a day, and then have the joy of contributing to something impactful.
Yeah. So you've really facilitated the ability to be generous in a big way, even if you don't have a lot, or be generous in a big way when you have a lot, by
Correct.
pulling
That's
everyone
exactly
together.
right. That's exactly right.
Oh, that's great. Well, what's the typical nonprofit? What kind of nonprofits have you heard from, and are there any that are more memorable than others that are more unique?
Jen, they're all memorable, and I'll tell you, um, we have 4 chapters, and the members nominate them, so it's a
Yeah.
real range, and that's one of the beauties of our group as well, is we don't just give to women or just to children or to specific categories. We give across the board.
Mhm.
And over the years, because we're in our finishing up our 7th year, we've supported women through pregnancy and domestic violence nonprofits. We support children with after school programs. Um, a real unique nonprofit that helps kids with uniforms, music lessons, even on a micro level,
Yeah.
helping them. We supported veterans through a food pantry, through buying a van to help them make deliveries. We supported mental health in our community with counseling centers, and we've done 2 grief centers.
Mm.
And we support the disabled, from children, from camps, all the way to enrichment programs for adults. And we've helped with gang intervention. So it's really broad based and
Yeah.
based on the membership.
Okay. And you said you don't have limitations as far as who, but the one limitation that you do have set up is geographic, right? You're the
We
Lake County
do.
chapter, so it's Lake County, in your case,
Right. So
nonprofits.
each chapter gives themselves a county name. So we
Okay.
want to be community based. We do vet the nonprofits. We check their 990s and their EIN numbers. We check their websites. Sometimes we go in person. So each, um, you know, sometimes they are directed through a church, and we said, no, they have to be an independent 501c3. So we
Mhm.
do have vetting procedures, but by and large, they're just outstanding nonprofits that
Yeah.
the members are often connected with in some way.
Yeah, yeah. I know because I am part of your chapter in the Lake County chapter here, and I know every time I come, I learn about somebody I never knew about before, and I wouldn't
Me
have known
too.
about.
Me
So yeah,
too. That's part of the joy of it.
yes, yes. So this episode is actually airing on Giving Tuesday, and on that day, a lot of us are inundated with emails and requests for money for really good nonprofits. But when it comes to a community purse, who is gifted the grant? What do you find is that difference between a good ask and a great ask?
Okay. Well, it's interesting. We hear from 12 a year. And it's 7 years. So we have heard a lot of nonprofit presentations, and they're all good. And each one is addressing something. And what I love is you leave the meeting feeling so uplifted and encouraged at all the good work that is out there. So, and with the negative media that we're all exposed to, it's nice to have a counterbalance. So I would encourage your listeners to all lean in to finding a nonprofit to support and this Giving Tuesday, and to serve, to give, and to be connected. You'll meet great people, and you'll make a difference in your community. And it's hard to beat that. But what we have noticed is, we try to be good stewards of time, treasure, and talent, Jen, and we just have a 1 hour meeting.
Yep.
We limit our nonprofit presentations to 5 minutes, and then it's immediately followed with a 3-minute question and answer period. So they do have to hone their message. But what we have found is a good presentation versus a great one is really good visuals, a clear mission, and oftentimes a compelling client testimonial.
Yes, stories sell.
Stories sell. For example, we recently had a presentation for where a young teen mom was, finishing her college degree, talked about her experience, and she was, the whole story was so hopeful and impactful that they won the grant.
Yes, yes, yes. And I remember that one because their presentation was good, but really, she was the one, it was her transformation story is what did it because
Right.
now it was exciting to say, I want to be part of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know that nonprofits have embraced Community Purse and have been excited to find members who can nominate them. Have the churches received this idea well, or have you even talked with churches in the community about it?
We're very ecumenical, and the way we started is each of our 4 chapters has a team of 4 to 5 women, and each woman invites friends, and then they invite friends. So we've always grown organically, and we represent lots of denominations and parishes. So that's one of the beauties. However, we did just develop a video that explains our story, and our team and our boards, our overall board for Community Purse, have
Yeah.
been talking about ways to use the video to connect with churches and let women in churches know more about us.
Yeah, I think that's great. Whether they plug into Community Purse or they actually, if they're a larger church, created a giving circle of their own,
Right.
I think that could be a really cool way to, engage with the community without overextending a budget.
Oh, absolutely. And we do have information about that on our website, which is communitypurse.org.
Okay. Well, because Community Purse is that bridge between the nonprofits and the donors, what were some of the challenges that you faced in making sure that there was this healthy balance when it came to the needs of each side? Particularly maybe so that your members weren't now inundated with being on all sorts of mailing lists from nonprofits that they heard from.
When we make our grant presentation, we always include a letter to let them know that to keep our members out of their database. And the reason we do that is we remind them that they have already presented to our community, and the women know about them. We give them links to the website through our email communication. Of course, there's the in-person presentation. And those women, what you find, like you said, there's so many you didn't even know about.
Yeah.
We each have certain areas of passion that we connect with. And so they will be in touch with you. So we ask that they don't put the women in the database. We do allow them to bring materials to our meetings. So women pick up all the contact information. They sign up on volunteer lists. They find out about upcoming gala events. But we ask that they not do it because we think they will be inundated. And I think it's a waste of their resources.
Yes, yes. Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. And it there is something about the fact that you did get to present to all these people. You are now on the radar of somebody who
Definitely.
can refer or connect
And they're on our
another donor.
website. We have them
Yeah.
all listed by each chapter on our
Okay.
website.
Yeah.
So our members can always connect with them.
Yes. So you are giving the nonprofit a lot of visibility and publicity, really, in a way that they wouldn't have had if they hadn't been nominated to present.
Mhm.
So that's great. Well, you touched on this, but one of the things I do love about Community Purse is how intentional time is used, from the quarterly meetings to the fact that they are 1 hour long. Is that the model that you had read about, or is that something you came up with doing?
That is part of many giving circles. I did read about it. Some of the giving circles have their members present about nonprofits. Some of them have the nonprofits present. So our team observed a local one and decided how we wanted to do it. We wanted to specifically be Christian because we wanted the opportunity to have Christian organizations present.
Yeah.
And so that was another thing that was distinctive about ours. But we do have a lot of busy women, and they're all ages, and we hear all the time how much they appreciate just a 1 hour meeting. For those that have more time, they come early and talk with their friends, or they stay after and
Yeah.
talk with their friends. They have dinner beforehand sometimes and then come to the meeting. So you can make it as social as you want, or you can be quickly to the meeting and out.
Yeah.
So we all have different schedules, and that's just part of our stewarding of time well, and just being respectful of people's time.
I love that. Well, I know there is a woman listening thinking, well, I wish we had this in our area. And you've said she can find the information on the website. But what is the basic steps involved with starting a chapter of Community Purse?
Well, I was that woman, and I decided I wanted to create something that was more turnkey than having to do everything from scratch like we did with a team. So we do have resources on our website. If you contact us, the board has put together some things. Our team has put together things. We have them all in a Dropbox. So there are marketing materials. There are time lists. There are name badge things, all kinds of things to help you get started. So there are resources. Just contact us at communitypurse.org. And there's a tab that says Start a Chapter, and it'll start taking you through.
Okay. And you're in Illinois, but you would be happy to have chapters in all 50 states, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's our goal. Okay.
We have 2 in Wisconsin and 2 in Illinois right now.
Okay, excellent. Well, what's next for Community Purse, either the local chapter or this entity of the 4 as you look to grow? What are your hopes and dreams for the future?
You know, we've done a lot of dreaming. The teams have, and the board has. And really what we hope is to grow the membership at each of our current chapters, and we're always thinking of ways to do that, and to grow the chapters themselves and take this idea to other communities, because it really does bless each community.
Yes. Yes. Well, I love it. Well, our time is coming to a close quickly. It goes fast.
It does.
Yeah. So I have some fun questions I ask. I have one fun question I ask everybody, which has nothing to do at all with giving. But what is your favorite time-saving gadget, system, or tool?
Okay, so I am going to do one that's giving, because that was our theme. And I love my donor advised fund. It is a huge time saver. Mine is through the National Christian Foundation. And what you can do is you can fund it with with cash, with stocks, with whatever. So you have a giving fund. So it helps you be more strategic, more intentional about giving. And all I have to do, Jen, is go online, click a few buttons, and I've made a grant to a nonprofit. So it's absolutely wonderful. And I guess the other thing I really love is my Fitbit.
That's great.
I like the challenge of knowing how many steps I've taken. Oh, there's my heart rate. A little reminder to get up and walk around. So it's not exactly time saving, but that's probably my other favorite gadget right now.
Well, hey, it's going to keep you healthy and keep you doing Community Purse longer. So,
that's what we hope. Yeah, there you go.
There's the time saving, right?
Yeah.
So, well, and let's say it again, but how can people connect with you, with Community Purse? Is it just the website, or do you have social media accounts as well?
We do. Each chapter has a Facebook social media account. You can find us on LinkedIn. And we're also, of course, our website, communitypurse.org.
And I will have links to that in the show notes for sure. But, well, Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for starting Community Purse and having the impact that, letting God use you to impact the givers and the nonprofits in the way that they have been.
Thanks, Jen, and thanks for being a member of Community Purse and your wonderful podcast. I love listening to it. I do that with my Fitbit when I'm walking.
Well, yay! There's a good.
I love your podcast.
Good combination.
And we just love having you as a member.